We're continuing our conversation on 94.7 Blair Radio, BlairRadio.com with Dr. Ben Tapper. Thank you again, Turnkey Nerds, for being a part of this and sponsoring our segments. If you've missed any of our conversation, go back on our website, BlairRadio.com. You can listen and watch at your leisure, and it's always going to be there until the internet dies. So, Dr. Tapper, again, thank you for coming in. The conversation is just talking about going into hope and where, the control of your health care needs to come back to the individual. And one, the thing that I was thinking of just really quick, doing the taxes and stuff like that. Do you have proper health insurance? If not, you're going to get punished for it. Mm-hmm. It's really, there's a lot of drivers that really are there to guide people into a certain place, isn't there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially in the insurance game, I mean, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of, like I said, monopolization. There's a lot of regulations. There's all these things that are preventing people for getting proper care, and insurance is one of them. I mean, you got. I'm not for the government really necessarily taking over healthcare. I feel like, they've been hijacked by big pharma. So I feel like it's been one of those things where it's a real challenge. But like I said, and that's kind of why I actually went on a network of the insurance game, because I was in practice for 10 years. I was in network with all the insurance companies, and they're ruining healthcare. They're making it so expensive, and people can't afford it. I mean, every 30 seconds, someone goes bankrupt due to medical bills that they can't afford. Mm-hmm. And so, we need to solve that, you know, and I feel like the government taking it over is not necessarily the solution. I feel like the solution goes back to the greatest of minorities, which is the individual. And that includes the physician as an individual, giving the power to the physician to allow for him to have financial hardships for his patients, or to allow coverage or whatever he may be, to have that freedom to do that. But if the problem is, if you are a network with an insurance as a physician, if you're a network with them, you're contracted with them, and you are legally in a binding document that says that you are going to abide by their allowables and everything else, and you're going to charge what they want you to charge, and it's like, man, they kept raking up the prices, and I would have patients come in like, man, that's so expensive. I'm like, well, this is a problem with healthcare. It's just like, it's just so expensive, and they have that authority to do that, and I feel like it's contaminating and preventing patients from getting their health cares. And like most people now have high deductibles, and in order to get small things done, they have to pay out of pocket just to meet that deductible.
Or if they have something that they know is an issue, they have to go through 1 or 2 or 3 steps to be able to get to that specialist that can actually do something.
Exactly right. And that's the thing too. Like, and most people, when they use their health insurance, let's say, in our situation, if it's an emergency, we're going to the emergency room. In these emergency rooms, like, I busted up my shoulder really bad a long time ago, and I went to the emergency room, and they took x-rays, and I could have taken my own x-rays of my shoulder. I should have. It would have saved me some money. But I went in there, and I have a $10,000 deductible. And I go in there, and they took x-rays, and I saw the x-rays. I'm like, oh, I have an AC separation. And the lady argued with me. She goes, oh, no, you just jammed it. You just jammed your shoulder. I said, no, I have an AC separation. You could see it. I mean, it was blatantly obvious. I could see my AC separation. I know I diagnosed the AC separations, and I saw it. And she argued with me, no, that's just a jammed shoulder. And they went back in, and I told, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was a physician or not in the ER, but I said, listen, I have an AC separation in my shoulder. I saw the x-ray. And they said, no, you just jammed it. We're going to send it over to the radiologist, and we'll see. Mm-hmm. And they put me in a sling and sent me home. And they sent me a $3,000 bill. I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, so I called them. And I said, listen, you misdiagnosed me. You mistreated me. I had an AC separation. You guys didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And then the radiologist confirmed, oh, he did have an AC separation. This is what I said the whole time. Yeah. And basically, it's one of those things where they worked with me on that financial bill, because I'm like, listen, you guys misdiagnosed me and everything else. But not everybody has that. Not everybody knows what an AC separation looks like. And so to the layperson, they would have never known. No, I just jammed my shoulder and just go home. Right. But I had to go in. I went and got an MRI. I also had a labrum tear and a few other things going on in my shoulder. But they sent me home because they said I jammed it. Right. And so, but again, it's the insurance talk is it needs to just go back to I view it as like the student loan thing with the government. You know, the government took over student loans and jacked up the interest rates on the student loans and caused this massive problem. They're guaranteeing all these student loans for everybody. It doesn't matter their credit history, doesn't matter anything. The government just says, "Yep, sure, you're approved, you're approved, you're approved." It just approves all these student loans for everybody. And it's like, you know what? When they get out of the school now, do they have jobs lined up? But they have this massive debt load, and now like, what do? And the interest rate now is like what, 7%, 7.8. I remember, I'm old enough to remember when student loans were like a 2.9% interest rate.
Yeah.
And I remember like, oh, this is awesome. But then the government took them over and like jacked that interest rate up to 6.8 or 7 something. I'm like, are you kidding me? But I was too far in to like not finish.
Yeah.
And so I had to finish, and then I consolidated my loans because grad school was so expensive, but it was like a 6.7% interest rate on the consolidation. Anyway, we're going down talks, but
it's overall what really affects what you do as a chiropractor, as somebody who wants to help people heal.
Yes.
And so then we can bring that back around to the chiropractic, center that you have. And so you bring it here into Blair, and then you hang a shingle. Then what?
Right. I mean, I'm just thankful to be in Blair. I mean, that's one thing too. It's like, we are open, and like I said, we are out of network, but I'm just thankful to be here. It's been a journey to open up a clinic. It has been a lot more work than I anticipated just to get it going. But I'm thankful. So far, a lot of people have reached out to us and came to us, and I'm thank the Lord for that. But again, we are, chiropractors have always kind of bucked the system in the allopathic world. I mean, the head of the AMA in like the 30s said that the greatest threat to the medical establishment are chiropractors. And really it shouldn't be that way. It just breaks my heart that it's that way. It's just we have a different philosophy. We recognize that the body is self-healing, self-regulating, and to a certain extent, right? There are things that prevent healing, obviously, but the body wants to heal.
Right.
There's like if I cut my hand, guess what? The body does the healing. If I break my arm, I go set that bone. Did the doctors heal that bone?
No.
Cosmetically, and maybe there's some structural components that maybe help with setting that bone. Absolutely. But the body healed it, right? And we don't doubt that system. And so, but we need to optimize that system. And that's what chiropractic is really all about. It's really there to optimize and finding ways to optimize that system the best way we know how. And we do that through the restoration and maintenance of the integrity of the nervous system. And that's basically what we do. That's our whole function as a physician. But really, it kind of got funneled into neck and back pain, which it's an effective tool for that. Absolutely. But it's huge. I mean, there was a study that was published in the Journal of Physicians and Surgeons that talked about, chiropractic, people that use chiropractors as their primary care had 60% less surgeries and 80% less hospitalizations, and it was significant and profound. And going back to the insurance, well, then shouldn't the insurance companies, like their financial institutions, shouldn't they just really expand on preventative care? Instead of sick care and emergency care, because that's all they pay for mostly.
Well, I was just kind of thinking about it because I have 4 kids as well, and then going into sports and things like that. Lately, they have been doing a lot more focus on weight training and doing things correctly, teaching the body how to do this stuff correctly, which has also reduced tremendously the amount of injuries future. So just really thinking about it, if we're already thinking about that in schools and weight training and how to do sports, why can't we think about that in other ways?
Amen. Right. I mean, it's what it's all about. And that's the thing. We need to just welcome, and having dialogue. And just welcoming the different arts of healing, welcoming as many people as we can, especially, we mentioned about the pandemic, but it was just frustrating because we weren't bringing all voices together. And if it so-called the greatest pandemic of our time, we should bring in as many people as we can to combat this and fight this. But so many people, it just felt like Big Pharma just wanted to funnel business to them. And silence anybody that was alternative to that narrative. But we need to come together and welcome the arts of healing. It's an art of healing. We can't just have one art of healing and be pharmaceuticals or allopathic care.
Right.
We need to recognize all arts of healing and forms of healing, because it's going to become extinct, this this alternative form of homeopathy and naturopathy and those type of ailments and remedies, it is becoming it is really becoming an endangered species in the form of knowledge, because it's just a forgotten thing. So many ailments. We grew up. We have in my property now. We have a lot of oak trees, and I was just reading about oak bark, like the benefits of oak bark. I had no idea, like it was used for different things and ailments and like digestive stuff, and it's really fascinating. But who would have thought, right? I mean, there's so many things out there that you like, even dandelions. You just think that it's a nuisance weed in your yard, but actually there's clinical benefits to that.
Right.
Dandelion
soup.
Yeah, dandelion soup and all these different things you can make with it. It's just fascinating. So. Yeah, I just pray that we can go back to that, and welcome that kind of dialogue.
Right. Well, we're going to come back and wrap up our hour with Dr. Tapper right here on 94.7 Blair Radio and BlairRadio.com.